Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk, and today I'm having a chat to Andrew Marsh, guitarist and vocalist for black and metal group WinterheartH out of Newfoundland in Canada. I've been enjoying the heck out of WinterheartH. I come across these guys and went back and cranked into their back catalogue, man. It's black metal, but it's really accentuated by Andrew's exceptional guitar playing, man, with loaded full of riffs. It's really cool. So, Andrew, cheers for joining me all the way over here in Australia and you in Canada, bro.
Oh man, pleasure's all mine. I'm happy to be here.
Cool, man. For the uninitiated, man, can you just tell me a little bit about the sound of WinterheartH and what people should expect from you guys?
Well, the bare basics of it would definitely be. I always call my approach a modern sound with a classic twist. So, like, I'm trying to be myself as much as possible, but I can't forget, for example, Sepultura Rise.
Yep.
Old Venom, Celtic Frost. One of my favorite albums, by the way.
Yep.
You know, Metallica, Megadeth, and then I look into a lot of the newer stuff and like a lot of the first and second wave era black metal, especially Immortal and Enslaved. A lot of progressive stuff on the go, like you would notice in the new album, as opposed to the other two. The first album, Curse to Summer, was more of a straightforward black metal, thrash metal, like Sodom. Old school Sepultura, Creator, and the second album, Resettlement, was more of that approach with the Gothenburg scene. I always love those kind of bands like In Flames, Dark Tranquillity, and now I'm doing a more of an approach with my love for progressive music, like you can't forget old school Opeth, and even throwing it back to the days of Yes and Camel, and yeah, that's all I can think. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, it's got a really great sound, and like you said, each one does a little bit different. But your guitar playing, man, is absolutely unreal, man. That's one thing that's drawn me to these albums, man.
Thank you so much.
I love the black metal, but then you bring something a little bit different, as you're saying. These influences from your Sepulturas and your In Flames, and the guitar riffs are just insane, dude. I can't even remember which track. There's a few tracks I've been listening to, dude. It's just blowing me away with the riffs you got going there, dude.
And a lot of it to me is, I think growing up in the early days, like I was really into like the Dave Mustaine's, the Alexi Leos, even the John Petrucci's. It's like, I always tell people, best way to say it, metal guitar players, like in rock and roll spectrum, like the metal guitarists, they're like the gunslingers of the old west of guitar players, you know? They're just straight shooters. They play all the riffs they love. They don't be afraid to throw in a solo, a bunch of different fills. They don't care about tempo changes. It's just whatever they feel.
Yep.
It's great.
So how did you get into playing guitar, Andrew?
When I was in grade 7, so I was about 12, 13. Dad surprised me with an acoustic guitar. He was hoping now I'd turn into the side of Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, and I did as I got older. But instead, I started listening to like Metallica, Megadeth, and then getting into the heavier stuff. And I got a Senior Behemoth shirt. I remember showing my father Behemoth. He's like, "What is this?" He's like, I showed him like live footage too. He's like, "Man, they can play. It's just what's on the go."
Yeah, Behemoth are unreal, man. They're one of those bands that when I first heard Behemoth, they really opened up the doors for me with like the black metal and the dark metal. And I heard it and just something clicked for me, dude. And I don't know, I just went down that dark path of like black metal, heavy metal, death metal. It just, dude, Behemoth are just so good, eh?
Oh man, and Nergal in general is a very intelligent human being.
Yeah, man, Me and That Man, I really enjoyed the hell out of those. Thinking that
I was just about to ask you, had you like Me and That Man? I loved it when I first heard it. I was like, whoa, Nergal is just doing a 180, and it's just amazing.
It is, isn't it? It had those kind of Nick Cave influences as well, a lot more in the first one, dude. And as you're saying, Johnny Cash and all those folk singers, man, that, you know, just unreal. As you mentioned, you come into Johnny Cash and that a little bit older. I was the same. I definitely skipped all that, went into the heavy metal, the heavy stuff, and kind of got into the Johnny Cashes and things like that as I got a bit older.
Do you feel with the song Magdalene off the first album? Did you see the video for it?
Yeah.
And like I've seen the video, and like this day and age, it takes a lot to shock people. Like, yeah, especially in the visuals. And then I watched that. I was like, oh, that's going to piss off a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I love his attitude with things, Nurgle. It's absolutely unreal, dude. So I want to ask about this album, dude. Can you tell me a little bit about the recording and production process and the making of this album for you and what that was like?
It was very different because of the COVID
Yeah.
that's reaping across the world, unfortunately. But luckily, to today's technology, we could have done it on our own time because none of us were working. In
Yep.
fact, my drummer works with me. We're both audio-visual technicians.
Oh, yeah.
And in the daytime, by day. And the other guy, he was off for the winter anyway, Lenny.
Yep.
I should introduce that. Lenny's the bass player.
Yeah.
Brad's the drummer. Yeah. So it's like, well, we can just take our own time with this. Like I went from working 9 to 6 or later, coming home, recording until 10 p.m. to getting up 7:30 in the morning, doing my takes, not feeling rushed. And I really started experimenting with the recording VST plugins on my lead guitar tracks using programs like Amplitude, because that is the future. And it's like, well, it seems like it's less of a hassle getting the sound you want. And I was like, whoa, because I always find in recording, getting a lead guitar, a good tone for your solo is for me, it's just hard for me.
Yep.
And luckily, I was a bit nervous with Lenny because myself and Brad both have recording backgrounds. Yep. And I didn't know much about Lenny. And Lenny's just like, well, I can just use this, and watch me. And his first takes, I was like, oh, my Lord. Okay, stress gone.
Yep.
I was afraid I was going to have to piece together stuff and be like, oh, God, this might not sound natural. And he was doing everything in one take. I was like, dude, you told me the hardest stuff you can play is no fix, and you're playing these 9-10 minute songs?
Yeah, there's some epic music on there, dude. The amazing tracks, man. The Riverbed Empire and the title track was a Marshlands with Anabelle from Devilment. She features a little bit of a lyre and vocal accompaniment as well. Can you tell me about that?
Oh, man, I wasn't even expecting that back in the early process. My manager mentioned to me we were talking about getting guest features, and he mentioned Anabelle and playing the lyre. And I didn't know much about the lyre. Of course, Brad, our drummer, having a music background in a classical sense, he's like, the lyre, oh my God, that's an amazing instrument. I was like, oh, good. I was like, someone besides me? And I was listening to it, I was like, oh man, this would definitely portray a good texture, good atmosphere. Oh, she is amazing to work with.
Yep.
I mean, very approachable. Like I couldn't believe the final product when she did the lyre section in the middle of Marshlands, and then the vocal takes just added more. It was like hearing angels coming, like I guess the sirens, like the sweet soft voice, and then it comes into the eve. I was like, oh no.
It's an amazing start to the album. It just, dude, it has some amazing feels to it. And it just really sets this album up for, what you get. You have that start to it. It's just unreal. That mellow kind of start leading into it, and then it just hits you hard, man. And then the way the outro to that is just unreal, dude. I enjoyed the heck out of it. And it really set up this album for me. It was really good.
You. A lot of my longer tracks, like Marshlands, prime example. One album I always look to for do a longer tune is And Justice for All. Yep. Yes, people complain because they say the bass is inaudible, but at the same time, like you got 9-minute tracks, but you feel like they're only 4 minutes.
Yeah.
There's no lulls, there's no boring parts. Like some bands, I mean, there's a reason why punk rock got big in the 70s, because progressive bands got too boring for people.
Yep.
Nobody wanted to hear a 25-minute Keith Emerson keyboard solo, God rest his soul, but that was it. Like everything gets stale in the long run when industry just pushes too much of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely, dude. And I think the industry is moving. I love albums, dude. And for me, when I hear albums, I'm a kid of the 80s, dude. I love getting an album. And for me, when I heard your album, I had to go play the whole album, dude. I'm not a one person kind of like, one track, one there. And it annoys me a bit with the digital cycle, the way things are going. We're living in this age where it's like, one track, move on to the next. But people are missing how good it is to dive into an album. And I'm going to talk about your album because you really go on a journey with this album and with all your other albums and with your EP. And it's unreal, man. The sound that you guys have is built up kind of like a journey with your albums.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, because I always try. A friend of mine growing up when I used to jam with him, he always said, and it stuck with me to this day. He always tries to make your music tell the story more than the words.
Yep.
And that's definitely, if you're writing longer tracks like this, like most times when I write tunes, previous albums, I look at it as like, man, that's 13 minutes. I got to cut this down. But this time I said, nope, not doing it. And so far, the reaction of people that have heard it, like yourself, like they're floored. They love it. I'm like, yes, because to me, I struggle. If you had to say to me, sit down and write a 2-minute punk tune, I've tried it. It's still 7 minutes long.
Yep.
Right? It's just, but yeah, like everything about the album, I'm honestly extremely happy with the album. Like I don't look back and say, well, maybe I should have done this differently or that differently. Overall, for a self-produced independent release, I'm beyond happy, I got to say.
Yeah. So what's the scene like over there in Newfoundland? You know, you're an independent artist. Do you get a fair bit of support in the scene there? Is it like everywhere else? You just don't get as much support as you should be, and the quality band you are.
The best way to say it would be, I guess from a mainstream sense, no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Newfoundland, Labrador, Newfoundland, especially the island itself, is very dominated by traditional Irish music.
Yep. Okay.
Hence, well, everyone's ancestors usually came out of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And it's a big market. And of course, like an island that heavily depends on the tourist industry, you got the tourist industry, I feel, would help back those guys up too. And I mean, rightfully so. They're trying to bring money in so people can have jobs and eat.
Yeah.
Now, for the guys in the metal scene, yes, like every time we played shows, like clubs been packed. Every band around here too, like there's no bands that are clones of each other.
Yep. Okay.
And I feel a lot of that is because we might get one hard rock band a year, let alone a metal band coming, you know?
Yeah. So the scene would be a lot tighter as well, like you're saying, all you bands and you metalheads in that area kind of band together and kind of support each other, yeah?
You can't afford to make enemies with so little people, you know?
Yeah, it would be an unbelievably tight scene over there, eh?
Yeah. But I mean, I guess because so many people grew up with just guitars and stuff around their house from hearing their dad playing traditional Irish music or their grandfather, they feel to pick it up. And for a small area, like there's only 500,000 people on the island. There's a boatload of musicians. Yeah. Whether it be the bedroom player or people like me who gig downtown in St. John's or across the island, it's crazy. And I feel the originality is coming from, we don't get the luxury of a mainstream band coming once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Right? Last mainstream band I seen live, like big mainstream band, was The Cult. And that was May 2019.
Oh, wow.
This year I would have seen ZZ Top, but COVID killed it for me.
Yeah, but, you know, a lot of these bands, like you're saying, these big mainstream bands, they're great. But like bands like yourself that are just sitting under that mainstream that you find and you explore, they're just so bloody good. Like guys like yourself. And that's the thing, when you play these shows, man, you're going to be sitting there behind the merch stand saying hello to the fans, you know, selling your CDs and selling your merch at the same time. And people don't realise with this COVID, dude, what an impact it's had on the underground scene and independents and unsigned like yourselves, dude, that you know, you bring out these great, amazing albums. You can hold it down with any black metal album for sure, dude. It's an amazing listen, dude. And you're just sitting just under there. You need people to explore a little more.
Exactly. And, you know, with the COVID stuff, like we were lucky because we got like sensible jobs with sensible income. I can't imagine a band that's on a smaller label that was depending on the income, you know, like, does their country have any kind of aid programs for them? Just tie them over? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, well, over here in Australia, there's they announced an aid program, like a $250 million arts package, but a lot of it's going to movies and all that kind of stuff, and it's still sitting on the arts minister's desk waiting to be signed and approved. So they announced this about a month ago, going, we're gonna help the artists out, but then everything else has received support except for the arts sector. It's amazing. Like, it was the first one to be cut, music, and I understand why we are doing this. Like, you've got to keep everyone safe at the end of the day, but it does my head in how there's not as much support for the arts sector, you know. And you take out music or art in your life out of a day. You try and go a day without hearing music, or you'd imagine how depressed your life would be.
Oh man, just imagine going to a sporting event and there's no music in the background. It's pretty boring and dull.
Yeah, dude. And art. Speaking of art, dude, that artwork is unreal on there. It's Mark Richards. He's done Pig Destroyer, Black Dahlia Murder, just to name a few covers. Can you tell me a little bit about that cover art, dude? That's cool.
For starters, I couldn't believe the detail in the final product because when you're independent artists like myself and you think about where you're spending your money to, you're concentrating. It's like, oh my God, this better turn out good, because we're not Kiss or Metallica, or it's like, it's not good. Just give them the money and we commission someone else, And I remember when I seen the first draft, I was floored. I couldn't believe it. And now the artwork itself, I was explaining to my manager what I was trying to go for, but this was just like a weird image in my mind. And he mentioned to me, he's like, the way you're describing it reminds me of Inferno by Dante. And he mentioned Three Furies. And we were talking, and he mentioned to me about Mark Richards. He's like, check out this guy's website, see what you think. And then he showed me the list of bands, and I'm pretty sure I seen Napalm Death, and that was it. As soon as I seen Napalm Death, I was like, yeah, he's the guy.
Napalm Death, man. How good. I caught them for the first time a couple of years ago live, dude. It just blew me away. I was doing gig photography for that show as well, and dude, I seen Napalm Death, Brugeria, and Lockup all in a row, dude. It was a great night. It was at the new Dead Metal Fest here in Adelaide, dude, and I was just like, yes, I'm happy. Napalm Death, dude.
Oh man, speaking of Napalm real quickly, one of my coworkers was originally from the States. He was a disc jockey in New Jersey for a metal. He had a metal show, and we're talking 20 years ago, and he gave me a box of albums. He's just like, these are my doubles, man. Do you want them? And I said, yeah. Start looking through, and I can't remember the name of the album. It's the album after Diatribes by Napalm Death. It's signed by every member. It even got Jesse's autograph, and I was oh my God, like just having that autograph alone, considering the man's not with us anymore. Like, to me, like, I got a frame somewhere. I just don't know where I got to, where I recently moved not too long ago.
Yeah, man. And the Napalm Death recently released a new track, man. It was really fucking cool as well, dude.
Oh, I've yet to hear it. It's on my list, though, for the next few days. But they never disappoint me. Oh man.
So good to see live, man. I want to talk about support. Where's the best place people can get along and support WinterheartH and you guys and this album? Because this comes out like in a day. Tomorrow's the 14th, isn't it? And
the official is the 21st. The physical copies are going to be available.
Yep.
You can follow us on Facebook.com, WinterheartH Metal. All you gotta do is type in WinterheartH, we'll pop up.
Yep.
Our store should be soon up and running. Can you just give me 2 seconds? I gotta try and remember the link. It's an easy link, but
I'll put the link in anyway as well. So I'll chuck the link in here with this. So, yeah.
It would be stillheavyproductions.bigcartel.com. It's going to be our new store that's off and running. See our latest merch and our albums. And I really think people's going to like the new line of stuff we got. Usually I'm not a stickler. I'm not like a Gene Simmons when it comes to merch, but I got to make sure it's top quality. And if I wouldn't want to wear it, I'm not selling it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And that's the good thing about metalheads. We actually support. I find that, it's when you go over to Spotify, but I find a lot more metalheads are going to buy merch and your LPs and things like that than the other scene. Yeah.
I mean, thinking about the Spotify now, I mean, a lot of people have been really pissed off lately with what I think the CEO came out and said something on the lines of, don't expect to release music once every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I never actually read the article. You know what it's like with random clickbait articles.
I never read it either. Yeah.
No, I'm same way, man. I'm just like, man, like, who was the ones that let the people get to that point?
Yeah.
Yeah. And secondly, it's like, it sucks. Like, I love having a vinyl or CD, just having that big slab of artwork. Vinyl, especially because you can actually read it.
Yeah.
You're not squinting not my eyes at least. But I'm hoping the positive that I always try to find the positive in even the darkest of times.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that if this single, if it's true, and like you gotta start releasing singles, maybe music could be more like a modernized version of, say, back when Sun Records, and like back in the 50s when like you had Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash just releasing single, you know,
Yeah.
to keep people up. So, and I mean, if that happens for a few years, then maybe the CD market will be back on the go again. Like, it's not, I don't think it's bad. Like, I've never had a problem personally selling albums. Like,
No, that's the thing. And sometimes, like, I always pump on about Spotify. They're like the ones I kick on a bit too at times. But you know, it's the thing I always try and bring it up. Yeah, check out a band on Spotify. It's always handy to check out a band on Spotify if you don't have them. But if you like them, support them. Head over to their website, buy some merch, buy an album. You know, because there's nothing
100%
having that album, dude. I'm the same. Records, man. I got myself a record player recently. I started my record collection again, and I've got a huge CD collection.
Nice.
And whenever I go to shows, I'm buying merch, and that's the biggest taker of my money is merch, dude. Shirts, anywhere I can get it. Flags, dude. It's the way to do it.
And to me, metal is the genre that proved you can have a niche market.
Yeah,
like it shows like maybe I won't be so big in Canada. Like, you never know what the future brings, but like I know right off the bat, like in Australia, there's a big scene, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Brazil, like South America in general, Scandinavia, East Europe.
Yeah, Europe's
right
crazy.
Off the bat, right. Like right off the bat with Australia, I remember the Slaughter Lord from back in the day.
It's unreal, man. Brummel, those guys back here, dude, they brought out an album, Never Enough Snuff, dude. You'll have to check that one out. Really, really cool, man. Heavy, dude. You like them guys. Really, really good, dude. Alarum bring out a funk, progressive, death fucking kind of vibe, thrash thing. It's really, really cool. Yeah.
Is Sadistic Execution from Australia?
Yeah. Yeah, they're no longer belting about, but yeah, man, there's so many quality bands. King, dude, a couple of guys, I don't know if you remember Blood Duster, but a couple of guys are in King, which is a really unreal blackened death metal band. Really, really good, dude. Really fucking good as well, eh?
I know I heard that name before.
Yeah, you would have.
But every band someone tells me, I was just like, mental note in my mind, listen to it within 12 hours. I'm like, oh my God.
Are you like me, dude, being a metalhead where you have people come up and go, what's a good band to listen to? And you hit a blank sometimes. I do that. And I'm like, dude, hundreds and hundreds of bands I go through all the time I'm listening to. But then when people ask me stuff, I'll hit a mental blank all the time.
Oh, I'm brutal for when people ask me who influences me and I start listening a bunch. And I'm like, after the conversation, I'm like, crap, I didn't mention Diamond Head or Annihilator. Like, what's on to go with me today?
Yeah. Well, it's one I ask a lot, influences and inspirations and that. But, you know, while we're at it, you might as well tell us a couple of your influences and inspirations.
Oh, man. Definitely Max Cavalera.
Yeah, dude.
Well, all the Sepultura guys. I mean, a lot of my lyrics deal with Newfoundland culture, and I feel a lot of that came from hearing Chaos AD for the first time. Like, definitely. I'm a huge fan of the old school black metal, like Venom, Merciful Fate, Celtic Frost. Sorry about that. Really into the Creator, Sodom, and I listen to a lot of country music too. I mean, I listen to a lot of gangster rap. I even listen even artsier, for lack of better words, groups like Bjork, Kate Bush. I'm huge into anything that Steve Wilson puts out, whether it be Porcupine Tree or his own solo career. Huge fan. Entombed. I'm a huge Entombed fan. I love all the new wave British metal stuff. Like, there's so much metal, and like you only live once, you got to hear it all.
I know, dude. Entombed are great, dude. I caught up with LG and the guys, and he's got a GoFundMe. He's actually battling with cancer at the moment, LG.
Yeah, I heard.
Great bunch of guys. I was really happy to meet Entombed AD. I was sitting backstage, actually having a beer with LG. He's a top guy, man. So hopefully he gets through that as well, and we send you our best, LG.
Oh, absolutely. I can remember getting Left Hand Path and putting it in the car with Mom, and she's just like, turn it off now. Like, no.
Yeah, my mum had that reaction to most of my music as well growing up, dude. And Creator, I'm actually having a chat with Christian Speezy Giesler tomorrow. who's the former bassist creator, man, tomorrow night. So I'm looking forward to that one as well, because Creator, a huge influence. And he's actually in a band now called For Punk with Jeremy and Taylor. Jeremy Kling, who's the drummer in Venom Inc. now, Massacre, and a whole heap of other bands. He's in a punk band with Jeremy Kling, Taylor, and Brian. So really worth checking out, dude, if you like your punk as well. Talking about punk before, For Punk, their album come out a couple of days ago. Really, really cool album, man. Great bunch of guys as well.
Man, I definitely got to check that out.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with it all, man. It's crazy time. So, how playing live over there is probably off the cards at the moment, isn't it?
We're looking into live stream approaches, but definitely not happening.
And the thing with live stream approaches, you want to be, you want to be able to get that support as well. It's all one thing putting out these live stream performances, but people got to support this as well. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like,
100%. And unfortunately, like in Newfoundland, I'm hearing talks to the grapevine through other promoters and production managers that they're trying to put off like a trad Irish outdoor drive-in festival. But I mean, if they got the money to do it, great. I just can't think of a parking lot big enough, and especially with the COVID restrictions, because we actually got pretty a lot of people say they're strict, but it's strict for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Because especially if we're on an island and no one has COVID, well, obviously they're going to keep the walls up and not let anyone in for a little while longer until the rest of the world is more under control.
Exactly. And it's about being safe, and that's the thing in this time. 100%. People have to be supporting acts as well. Like, as we talked about merch, and I've said it a whole heap of times already, getting along and supporting bands like yourself. So when, this album comes out, Riverbed Empire, the people get along on the 14th, grab your digital copies and grab some physical copies when they come out. Was it on the 24th, I think you were saying, of August? 21st of August. So, that's the idea. And man, the artwork, like we're talking artwork, dude, there's things you get your artwork on your copy of your CD, and there's all these little bits in it as well. Things you aren't going to get by hitting subscribe, like, that's great, but by listening to on Spotify, get the album. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, cool, man. I reckon we might sign out there. I've got to go get my little one off to school, but before I do, man, last words, shout outs, or thank yous from you.
Oh man, everyone stay safe out there. We're all in this together. Our new album is going to be out August 21st. I think the pre-orders is for the 13th or the 14th. Don't quote me 100%. The Facebook account will definitely tell you as the days progress. Because there's so much, like when you're in the final stages, there's just so much little things like, oh my God, I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. I didn't do this. Right? It's crazy. Yeah, man, it was a pleasure talking to you. Absolute pleasure. Thank you so very much, man. Everyone get along, check out WinterheartH, man. They've got some albums out there that are really worth checking out, and splits, man. They've got some really cool splits as well. So get along, check out WinterheartH. I'll put in the links, man. You can still put in some pre-orders for their album that's coming out. Really get along and support your scene, because support is everything. Andrew, absolute legend. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Next time, I'll be the one who gets up early for the interview. Legend. Cheers, dude. Thank you.